Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. It's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of Bachelor Nation News, and we've got a wild update to the Bachelor Clayton Echard paternity scandal. The update we've been hoping for. A competent reporter doing their job. Not that other competent reporters haven't done their job, but now we've got it coming from NBC, the local Arizona NBC news affiliate, with a great story. I mean, honestly, when there's a documentary, this is what you expect that will make it into the cut. A sharp, well-executed. They say brevity is a virtue, which, by the way, I don't know anything about. I ramble on like an old man at a bus stop. I ramble like an old man in a presidential debate. If you want to know my debate thoughts, boy, it was a disaster for the country. You can go check out my podcast, Rush Hour with Dave Neal. Morning and episode, bite-sized content. Go over there and check that out. All right, reporter nails this story. It's the only thing that actually got nailed revolving around Clayton Echard at this point, and we're going to share it with you right now. I've got the full story. It's a 5-minute, really does a great job. And her name's Bianca Buono. Am I pronouncing that right? And you got to give credit where it's due. Very good work here. And then I'm going to share some updates regarding Laura Owen's father claiming anti-Semitism because Clayton referred to Laura Owens as a cockroach. Well, as it turns out, the text messages have been released, and it looks like they celebrate Christmas. Now, why does this matter? Well, it matters because they're claiming anti-Semitism from a guy who was just, whatever. So we're going to get into that whole end of the story. Megan Fox is losing her mind on Twitter, and we'll have that coming up after we play this clip. Now, I'm going to break this down. I'm not going to rip it off in its entirety. I will share it all, but I'm just going to have to interject just so you guys understand for the fair use policies here. But they go from covering, monsoon news here in Arizona, and then they go from the monsoon storm to the Clayton Echard storm. Have a listen.
For the past year, a man previously known to the world as the Bachelor has been fighting a paternity suit here in the Valley. Last May, a woman accused Clayton Echard of getting her pregnant and then filed a suit and shared her story publicly.
Look at them. They're going, I can't believe I'm reporting this right now.
This month, a judge ruled in Echard's favor, and in an unprecedented ruling, she's also asked the county attorney's office to investigate the woman for possible criminal charges.
By the way, I love modern news, but they're clearly going broke. What are they making them hold these clickers so they have to run their own teleprompter? Can we fund Arizona NBC a little bit better? Can we get a pay raise for all of them running their own do I run my own teleprompter? I don't run a teleprompter, but I do run I have multiple hands in the works here trying to make all these things work. Hit the buttons and things like that. But either way, get a GoFundMe for the teleprompter guy. Whatever happened to him? Did he lose his job? Maybe he was on break.
12 News journalist Bianca Buono sat down with Echard. And Bianca, you learned this is not the first time that this woman has made similar accusations.
Yeah.
By the way, Bianca Buono might be a top 10 name. If you have a name that's alliterative, you're going to succeed in news. Coming up now, it's Bianca Buono breaking down Clayton Echard's accuser.
Mark Rebe, that's right. We've obtained court records, not only from Echard's case, but from another case out of Maricopa County. Echard was
if I were her, I'd have like a podcast, The Bone Zone, something.
The star of season 26 of The Bachelor. He said these allegations had a tremendous impact on him, both personally and professionally, and finally, he feels a sense of relief.
By the way, if you're Laura Owens, you're shaking in your casita right now because you're like, oh boy, Bianca Buono, she's got that reporter voice. you know shit's about to go down. She's shaking in her casita. By the way, I found out Bianca Buono from SoCal, but went to Emerson in Boston, where I've spent a few days, and also was part of the news program in Rhode Island, my home state. So I knew that we would crack the case with fellow chowder head Bianca Buono.
Oh my God. gosh, okay. Yes, I love it.
It's been 2 years since Clayton Echard starred as The Bachelor. Following a breakup after the show ended, the Missouri native moved to the Valley.
It's a very active community, a melting pot of people from all over the country. I just loved the entire atmosphere.
But life over the past year for this former TV star has felt more like a movie.
Either I'm dealing with one of the most craziest individuals that I've ever met, or I'm dealing with someone who's telling the truth.
You guys know what side I'm on here. Look at the nice dramatic. They got the shot here from the, sorry to keep interjecting, I'm just proud. They've got the documentarian shot here of the camera. The camera's got the little saddleback thing here to keep it from getting scratched. Oh, they got the production, other than, they probably had to fire their teleprompter guy, but that's okay.
Last year, shortly after Echard obtained his real estate license, he received a message on LinkedIn from a prospective client, Laura Owens.
By received a message, he was targeted. He was only a real estate agent for 1 or 2 weeks. Good golly.
Their conversations turned flirtatious, and she ended up coming over to his house.
Whoa! Oh, Bianca's sharing the whole story here. This this has to be it was aired at 10 p.m. Yeah, this is late night. You can't be airing the full story here at the 6 p.m. hour.
But there was no sexual intercourse. The next day when I told her that was a mistake, and this can't be anything more than what that was, she began to cry, and I realized at that point something felt off.
11 days later, Owens told Echard she was pregnant.
I couldn't believe it just because, again, what occurred that night, I said, there's no way that this actually happened.
And of course, he was then gaslighted by all of the, things that followed. He was like, well, maybe you are pregnant, but it's not mine. So you think there is a chance in that whole vibe. By the way, for those wondering, does Bianca have a wandering eye on Clayton? Maybe they'll make it. I think she's married. I don't know, but I'm kidding here. Clayton, stay single for a while, please.
Wanted to see an ultrasound, and if pregnancy was confirmed, he wanted a paternity test.
She drafted up an actual dating contract that she typed up that basically said, date me for a week. And
if you don't believe it, boy, they got the digital copy. Hi, Clayton. I've realized that I simply can't go against my belief and have an abortion for someone who cares so little about me. You said that one of the big reasons you couldn't see us together was because I hadn't made one for you yet. If your strong preference is for me to make the ultimate one for you and to show you that I care about you with actions and not just words, I would expect the same from you. What is she talking about? It would be the hardest decision I have ever made in my life. If you don't even have the dating conversation with me, then that is a sign from God that this child was meant to be born. And my question is, which God? The Catholic God? She's going to, claim anti-Semitism. This is incredibly draining on me physically and emotionally. I think you think your lack of support is going to make me give up the pregnancy, but it's having the opposite effect. I definitely don't want to push you to explore things with me if you don't want to, but getting together, discussing this choice, and making a decision to have an abortion out of love and not fear is the only way it could possibly happen. If you don't want to try things, that's fine, but if I'm alone either way, the abortion is off the table. Here's further proof.
And if you do and it doesn't work out, then I'll have an abortion. But if you don't date me, I'm having this child.
Owens would ultimately tell Echard she was actually pregnant with twins, sending him this email.
Oh, this is the email she sent to Clayton and to Reality Steve, which she would later claim was Greg Gillespie hacking her account.
Here is my 100,000,000% real ultrasound video.
I love Bianca Bono. She didn't just say, she said it out. Here is my 100,000,000%. She had to add the decibels, right?
Echard said
the commas,
He and his legal team would later learn the ultrasound stemmed from a years-old YouTube video.
She was doing whatever she could.
And they learned that because of the work of The Flock and everybody else in the Bachelor community that put on their investigative journalist shoes and went to town.
To get me to come back and believe her.
But Echard didn't. So in August, Owens filed a paternity suit and went public with her accusations.
It was guilty till proven innocent. And everyone online was saying, yep, this is the guy that we saw on The Bachelor. Terrible person. Makes sense, this tracks. And then professionally, I lost a lot of speaking engagements.
But it was shortly after Owens went public that Echard came to know he wasn't alone, learning of other men who also received paternity claims from Owens.
I realized that I'm not fighting for myself anymore. I'm fighting for these previous men.
Echard eventually got a paternity test, and court records show the results showed little to no fetal DNA.
All right, so this is what's interesting. We're going to go back to the 308-minute mark here, but what was so interesting with the previous email, she claims, of course, that this was an email that came, that was hacked in her account. So, not Bianca, Laura. Laura claims this was hacked, but she also included there was an issue with the sample, as Brett said. So, why would Greg Gillespie have known who the hell Brett was? Brett, of course, being the guy from RavGen. So, clearly, Greg Gillespie didn't hack this. Now, we also know that this was fake because she should have put Owens, then Laura. This was messed up. The gestational age was off. I think this was completely off. And then also the time code wasn't moving. But that's a whole nother, that's how we knew it was fake in the first place before it was discovered why it was fake. So interesting stuff going on here. And all you can hope is that this reporting goes up the old flagpole here to the bigger powers. But I think Bianca, look, here's my honest thoughts. Bianca, if you want to ride this story and continue following it and continue investigating all of the other misdeeds in this story, you've got a spot securely in a documentary. Now, that's not me telling you this. I'm just saying you hit all the check marks. You're competent. You know what the hell you're doing, and you're pursuing justice here from the lens of a more, no offense to me, a more professional look. I ain't NBC. I don't have the teleprompter clicky thing. I just got my fingers in my doodads here. So it would look mighty good in the upcoming documentary, which will blow Baby Reindeer out of the water. It will be a top story of the week across the globe. Don't take my word for it. The truth speaks for itself.
DNA. During a November hearing, Owens testified she had just recently seen her doctor and confirmed she was 100% pregnant and 24 weeks along. But a second paternity test weeks later again showed little to no fetal DNA.
And by the way, the reason why this all went down is because the audience was not accepting her lies. They were defending Clayton. They were putting money. It's a completely separate story that needs to be told. The justice-oriented audience that came together, who her attorneys calling a cult, came together because they didn't believe her and was able to spend the money to get Clayton the attorneys, to get the powerful Deandra from Woodnick Law to come in and cross-examine the hell out of Laura and get her to have all these other lies said under oath.
Owens then claimed she miscarried, filing a motion to dismiss her suit. But Echard's legal team wanted to continue.
Her story is just made up at this point. It's just a lie after lie after lie.
Just last week, Judge Julie Mata issuing a stunning 19-page ruling, finding Owens knowingly presented a false claim, ordering she pay Echard's legal fees. Mata went on to say Owens has a pattern of similar, if not identical, behavior and is referring her actions to the Maricopa County Attorney's Office for review.
And I love that Laura goes, come on, every one of these stories is completely different. That one I coerced him in because, I trapped him for different reasons than I trapped that guy. Okay, they're all the same story.
We are actually at a place now where she may face criminal prosecution, which she should because she's been doing this for almost 10 years.
This week, Owens published a blog post in response to the ruling, saying the evidence she presented was deemed meaningless by the judge. And the only reason the judge allowed the case to continue after she was no longer pregnant was because of Echard's high-profile status.
If I could press a button and go back and erase all this, would I? And the answer is no. Because what I've learned through this entire process made me a person that I'm so extremely proud of.
As for Echard, he's moving forward with his career in real estate and plans to launch a men's mental health podcast. But although this legal battle is now in his rearview mirror, it's not completely out of sight. Owens' attorney says they're pursuing an appeal.
If someone is not going to back down, then I'm not going to back down either until justice is served, until this individual stops.
Wow, the story's incredible.
She's like, wow, this bitch is crazy. When a reporter says, wow, this story's incredible, what she's saying is this bitch is off a rocker. And then Bianca's like, Yeah, I know. And I wish I was a fly on the wall of this after show conversation.
Bianca, unbelievable. Now that possible criminal charges are on the table, what is the Maricopa County Attorney's Office saying?
Yeah, a spokesperson there tells me they have received the family court case, and at this time, the office is reviewing it to determine what steps might be taken next. No decision at this point has been made. Guys.
Now, if they decide not to pursue this, we'll be raining fire down from the public opinion that it's the wrong decision. We hope that they realize the public interest is big enough to pursue justice. Simply put, pursue justice. We're not telling the prosecutors what to find. We're just saying, please pursue justice. And we are confident that justice leans on the side heavily that Clayton was targeted, harassed with medical fraud, lies, and perjury. And maybe Bianca Bono will cover that story when the justice prevails. So again, my hat off to the fine work done here. A blazing 5-minute clip. For those wondering, oh, do we have a clip we can share? And I'm like, sorry, I make 78-minute long videos. I can't, nothing I do is this short, except for when it's making babies here at the Neal household. But I would say, look, this is it. This is the clip to share with your friends. We're doing whatever activities you do, share that clip. So we go into this aspect of the story. Yesterday we buckled up and discussed former celebrity San Francisco radio talk show host Ron Owens. He's won the Marconi Award for Personality of the Year. Well, he commented on video saying, "Sorry to disappoint you. I'm me," or whatever, whatever he said. And people are going, oh my gosh, he's accusing Clayton of being anti-Semitic, which is not an accusation you should throw around. It's like accusing someone of being racist. If you're going to make these accusations, you need clear-cut information. Just because Clayton referred to Laura as a pest because she's provided endless litigation and won't leave him alone and is writing articles and she's refuting what the judge said and she's blah, 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 blah. That doesn't mean it's anti-Semitic. Saying she's a cockroach because, he could have said she's a groundhog. Every time I hit her, I knock it down, it pops back up. The old groundhogs, that whack-a-mole game at the thing. And then of course Ron might say, Clayton wants to hit her in the head. No, if she was a groundhog, I would hit her in the head. It's a whole whack-a-mole thing, right? So either way, Megan Fox unearthing information as she does. You know who's a pest? No one's more of a pest or a cockroach than Megan Fox. This chick. She's on vacation and she's still throwing you can't, she ain't going anywhere. Pest, Megan, alt-right pest, ARP, alt-right pest, Megan Fox. I'm kidding, Megan. She's not a pest. She's alt-right. I'm joking. I have evidence that Ron Owens is wearing the equivalent of blackface to accuse Clayton Echard of anti-Semitism. I'm not going to agree with the blackface thing because to me, it's not analogous blackface. He's basically trying to weaponize a real phenomenon, which is sadly anti-Semitism that exists out there, where there is none. Blackface would be different. It's a whole story. I don't want to get into it. Jews don't celebrate Christmas, she said, and some do. And some do. Some Jews are more cultural than religious. It's one of those things where you can be a non-practicing Jew, experience anti-Semitism, be married to a Catholic person and celebrate Christmas. So that can happen. But what we know is what Clayton said was not at all anti-Semitic. So she goes on and says, she shares the text messages. What's more important is that Laura Owens for sure celebrates her Christmas heritage. Dad's last Christmas, text from Laura Owens to Mike Maricini admitting to her bad behavior. It's funny that in 2,500 pages of text messages between them, there isn't one of her complaining about abuse, but lots of her apologizing for her crazy behavior. Here's what Laura said. Hey, I've taken the time since we talked to write down some thoughts and I wanted to share them with you. This Christmas is extremely difficult for my family because we all know this is going to be the last one with my dad. Now, of course, this was what year? 2016. So this was 8 years ago. Almost a decade ago. Whether she believed her father was going to die that year or not, she was weaponizing that as a way to guilt Mike to hang out with her. She said, that is no excuse to take it out on you or anyone else. And if anything, I need to be enjoying this one more than I ever have. But it has been an undertone all week within my family, and it's been hard. You don't deserve to be bombarded with text messages if you don't respond immediately. So anyway, she goes on and on. Again, nowhere in those text messages did she accuse Mike of acting nefariously or being abusive. She waited until after he dumped her, and after he tried to get a restraining order against her, right? He called the police on her. That's when she got volatile and said, oh, he tried to kill me, right? So, que convenient, as they say. But again, this was obviously, Megan searched Christmas and found this out. So in no place in her parenting plan did she try to check off any boxes for Hanukkah. In the faux parenting plan she made for this faux pregnancy, she only checked off the box for Christmas. Megan continued, if you change your name from Lowenstein to Owens and you celebrate Christmas and send your kids to Catholic school, there's no reason for anyone to think you're Jewish. So claiming that someone who doesn't know you're Jewish is anti-Semitic is ridiculous. So people will say, yeah, there's a lot of Jewish people that have changed their last name because of anti-Semitism. And that's not the point here. There's no judgment on whether someone changed their last name. It's why would Clayton, a guy who only received a blowjob from a girl he met one time, a couple times, why would he have any belief that she's Jewish if she celebrates Christmas, went to Catholic school, and their last name was changed from a, obviously Jewish last name to not? Megan said, more Christmas text from Laura. According to Maricini, he was unaware the Owens family had Jewish heritage. He was in a relationship with her for 2 years and he didn't know. How would Clayton after one night? Now, I knew they had Jewish heritage because I knew the names were changed. Jan Black also changed her name. But again, Jan Black might not have been Jewish. I don't know off the top of my head what she changed her last name from. It is sort of common for people in the world of reporting and news to have a pen name. I shouldn't even say a pen name because that's more of an anonymous name, like Mark Twain. No, not a pen name, but more so a name that is your stage name. Like my stage name is Dave Neal. My real name is Dave Lowenstein. No, my real name is David Neal. But my Screen Actors Guild name is Dave Neal. And that's just the name I go by. Standard nickname. How's your Christmas Eve? So asking Mike about his Christmas Eve. I think I need to just take the car in the morning and go on a road trip so I'm not upsetting people for Christmas like I know I will. So she mentions Christmas again. Merry Christmas, baby. And mentions Christmas again. And he said, Merry Christmas. I hope you have a wonderful day with your family. So he didn't say, I hope you have a wonderful day getting Chinese food because it's tradition for Jewish families to get Chinese food on Christmas because for whatever amazing reason, the Chinese industrial food market has teamed up with folks that don't celebrate Christmas and they have a hell of a day on, December 25th. So anyway, it was also reported by Meg Fox that the Owens family might be trying to hide Christmas messages from Ron Owens on his Facebook page. Again, it's the belief that this is all fabricated from Laura. We've received our information, which I shared on the morning episode of the Rush Hour podcast, that sources we have very close to the family say there is no way Ron is conducting himself on Facebook like this. It ain't it. And you might say, well, Dave, but we saw the video. We saw the video of Ron. And some people said, well, maybe Laura handed her phone to Ron and said, can you people think that you're dead. Can you just let your audience know you're alive and that this is you? And then maybe he holds the phone up and does that. And maybe he's 15 years into Parkinson's. Maybe he's not there. I hate to even speculate on all of what could be going on as far as elderly abuse and things like that. Who the hell knows? I'd be more confident that he's standing by his daughter if he took to the internet or took to YouTube or Facebook and shared this story. I mean, no offense, but this is a guy who spent years on the radio. He has a voice, even if it's not as eloquent as it used to be in his age and with his condition. If you really support your daughter, let the world know. Otherwise, the world believes you're being taken advantage of. And I truly mean this when people say, get a wellness check on this man. I truly mean that. Well, the reporter nailed the story. So cheers to Bianca. And that's your update for the day. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend. Monday will be July 1st. It'll be our Patreon Appreciation Day. And we'll be doing a nice live stream just for our Patreon audience. So if you want to have that on Monday, you know where to find us, patreon.com/Dave Neal. If you want the free version of our content, we got it coming every morning and afternoon on the podcast. On the podcast, The Rush Hour with Dave Neal. You can check that out wherever you listen to podcasts. Have a good weekend, everybody. We'll talk to you later.